Good morning. Today we will start with the study heat conduction. In heat transfer analysis, we are often interested in the rate of heat transfer through a medium under steady conditions and surface temperatures. Such problems can be solved easily without involving any differential equations by introduction of thermal resistance concept in an analogous manner to electrical circuit problems. In this case, thermal resistance corresponds to electrical resistance, temperature difference corresponds to voltage, and heat transfer rate corresponds to the electric current. Because due to the voltage difference there is a flow of current, the same way due to temperature difference there is a flow of heat. We start this chapter with one-dimensional steady heat conduction in a plane wall, a cylinder and a sphere, and develop relations for thermal resistance in these geometries. We also develop thermal resistor relations for convection and radiation conditions at the boundaries. We apply this concept to heat conduction problems in multi-layer plane walls, cylinders and spheres. Then we will discuss steady heat transfer for finished surface, which we use in case of internal combustion engine, and cooling of the electrical motor and equipment, even your computer circuit board. Then we will go for some complex geometries commonly encountered in practice through the use of conduction shape factors. Steady heat conduction in a plane wall. Consider a steady heat conduction through the wall of a house during winter day. We know that heat is constantly lost to the outer through the wall. We feel that the heat transfer through the wall is in normal direction to the wall surface, and no significant heat transfer takes place in the wall in the other directions. The heat transfer in a direction is driven by the temperature gradient in that direction. Here 20 degree, here 3 degree. So heat transfer will be from this direction to this direction. There will be no heat transfer in the direction in which there is no change in temperature. Temperature measurements at several locations on the inner and outer wall surface will confirm that a wall surface is nearly isothermal. That is, the temperature at the point at the top and bottom of the wall surface as well as at the right and left side ends are almost same. Therefore, there will be no heat transfer through the wall from the top to the bottom or from the left surface to the right surface side, but there will be considerable temperature difference between the inner surface and outer surface of the wall, and thus significant heat transfer in the direction from inner surface to the outer one. So the temperature of the wall in this case will depend on one direction only, say x direction, and can be expressed as Tx. So rate of heat transfer into the wall minus rate of heat transfer out of the wall must be equal to rate of change of energy of the wall. But in this case, we will consider this rate of change of energy is equal to 0. There is no change in energy, that is heat in is equal to heat out. And for steady state condition, this must be 0. Therefore, the rate of heat transfer into the wall must be equal to the rate of heat transfer out of it. In other words, the rate of heat transfer to the wall must be equal to constant, which is equal to Q wall is equal to constant, which is expressed by the Fourier law, where A is the area of the wall, dt by dx is temperature gradient. Consider a wall with the thickness L and the average thermal conductivity K, with the temperature on this one side is T1, another side is T2. Thus we have dt by dx is constant, which means that the temperature through the wall varies linearly with x. So integrate this equation for x is equal to 0, where T0 is equal to, or T0 is equal to T1, and x is equal to L, where TL is equal to T2. So on integration you will get this equation. So Q conduction through wall is equal to Ka T1 minus T2 by L. So you can see here the heat transfer through wall is proportional to the area of wall and inversely proportional to the thickness of the wall. The thermal resistance concept. So you can consider this as the thermal resistance, where R wall is equal to resistance of the wall, which is L by Ka. So this is the thermal resistance of wall against heat conduction, or simply the conduction resistance of the wall. Note that the thermal resistance of a medium depends on geometry and the thermal properties of the medium, which is K, and geometry includes the thickness of the wall and surface area perpendicular to the direction of heat flow. So this equation is analogous to the current, which is due to the V1 minus V2, which is potential difference, upon electric resistance, which is L upon sigma EA, where sigma E is the electrical conductivity and A is the area of the conductor. So you can see here, this is T1, T2, V1, V2. So here your thermal resistance is equal to R, and here in this case your thermal resistance is Re, which is electrical resistance, and heat transfer is proportional to or equal to temperature difference divided by thermal resistance. In case of electricity, current is equal to voltage difference divided by electrical resistance. Consider convection heat transfer from a solid surface AS and temperature Ts to a fluid whose temperature sufficiently far from the surface is Ts. With a convention heat transfer coefficient H, the Newton's law of cooling is this. So in this case, this 1 upon HA is your convective resistance. This is solid surface, temperature of surface. This is temperature of the air. So in this case, this is your resistance. So this term is thermal resistance of surface against heat convection, or simply the convection resistance of the surface. Note that when the convection heat transfer coefficient H is very large, tends to infinity, the convective resistance becomes 0 and surface temperature becomes always equal to the air temperature. That is, the surface offers no resistance to convection and it does not slow down the heat transfer process. The situation is same as in case of boiling and condensation. So if this wall is surrounded by gas, the radiation effects will be considered. So the rate of radiation heat transfer between a surface of emissivity E and area AS, temperature Ts, and the surrounding surface at some average temperature T surrounding can be expressed as by this relation. So in this case, this term becomes HA. Radiation you can replace with the radiation. This is a convective heat transfer coefficient in case of radiation, because it is easy to find a solution for this equation. So you can solve for H radiation, which is equal to Q radiation divided by this term. Or if you replace the value of Q radiation here, you will get this equation here. So is the radiation heat transfer coefficient. Note that both Ts and T surrounding must be in Kelvin in the elevation of H radiation. So this is surface. Here you had convection as well as heat transfer through radiation. So is surface exposed to surrounding air involves convection and radiation simultaneously, and the total heat transfer at a surface is determined by adding the radiation and convection components. The convection and radiation resistance are parallel to each other. These two are in parallel. Where T surrounding is equal to T infinity, the radiation effect can be properly counted for by replacing H in the convection resistance relation by H combined, which is at convection plus H radiation. Thermal resistance network. Consider a steady one-dimensional heat flow through a plane wall of thickness L, area A. So thickness is L, thermal conductivity is K, which is exposed to convection on both sides of two fluids at temperature T infinity 1 and T infinity 2. So this is convection here on this side and conduction through the wall. So under steady condition, rate of heat convection into the wall is equal to rate of heat conduction through the wall is equal to rate of heat convection from the wall. Means convection is equal to conduction through the wall is equal to convection on the other side of the wall. So taking this term below in the denominator, this is your convection resistance 1 this is resistance in the wall, this is convection resistance 2 on the other side of the wall. Now we got this equation here. You can take this example. In this case, if you add numerator and denominator, you will get this, or you can add numerator separately and denominator separately, which will lead to 0.25. So same, you can add numerator and denominator, you will get this value here, where R total is the sum of three resistance, convective, wall, and this convective on this side, and these three resistors are in series. In this case, this term is called temperature drop. T1 minus T2 is also temperature drop across the wall, which is in this case is T1 minus T2 150 degrees Celsius. On rearranging this term, you will get temperature drop is equal to heat transfer into resistance of wall. This equation, it means your temperature drop is proportional to the resistance of the wall or convective heat transfer resistance. So say T infinity 1 minus T1 is 20 degree Celsius, this temperature drop. So this is proportional to heat transfer and resistance. So in this case, this convecting resistance is 2 degrees Celsius per watt. This is unit of resistance. Thermal resistance are in series in this case, and the equivalent thermal resistance is determined by simply adding individual thermal resistance. We summarize this as a heat rate of steady heat transfer between two surfaces is equal to the temperature difference divided by total thermal resistance between those two surfaces. Thus, electrical analogy still applies here. You can place this equation here with this equation, which is Newton's law of cooling. In this case, U is overall heat transfer coefficient, which is equal to so UA is equal to 1 by total resistance. We do not need to know the surface temperature of the wall in order to evaluate the rate of steady heat transfer through it. This formula does not include the surface temperature. It is having the temperature of the fluid on the one side of the wall, which is T infinity 1 and T infinity 2, which is this temperature of the fluid and this temperature of the fluid. All we need to know is the convection heat transfer coefficients and the fluid temperature on the both sides of the wall. The surface temperature of the wall can be determined from this relation. If you know the steady heat transfer value, that is Q dot, all we need to know is this R, which is convective resistance, which is dependent on this convective heat transfer coefficient. Means if you know this value H1, you can solve for this T1, which is the wall temperature or surface temperature. Multi-layer plain walls. We often encounter plain walls that consist of several layers of different materials. So this case we had two walls here. So the thermal resistance concept can be used to find a heat transfer through composite wall. You may have already guessed this is done by simply noting that the conduction resistance of each wall is L upon Ka. So this is your conduction resistance for the wall. So means dividing the temperature difference between two surfaces at a known temperature by total thermal resistance between them, you can find the steady heat transfer. So in this case there are four resistors in series. This is convective resistance 1. This is your thermal resistance of the wall. This is thermal resistance of wall 2. This is convective resistance here. So total thermal resistance is equal to sum of all the resistance in series. We can also obtain this result by following the approach used above for the single layer case, by noting that the rate of steady heat transfer Q through a multi-layer medium is constant, and thus it must be same through each layer. Because we have two layers, the heat transfer through both the layer is same, constant. It means for individual layer you can apply this equation and you can solve for temperature. If you know the heat transfer, you can find a temperature T1, and if you know the convective resistance, you can find temperature T1. Same from this equation you can find T2, and from this equation you can find T3. and you can do this for number of layers, infinite number of layers. Here you can increase the wall, the resistance of wall will be 1, 2, you can add 3, 4, number of layers. In the analysis of heat conduction through multi-layer solids, we assume perfect contact at the interface of two layers and thus no temperature drop at the interface. This would be the case when the surfaces are perfectly smooth and they produce a perfect contact at each point. In reality, this is not the case. So these two layers in contact have numerous peaks. The surface is microscopically rough, and no matter how smooth it appears to be, so there must be some roughness of the surface. So at this contact there is some temperature drop, and this will act as a thermal contact resistance. The peaks will form good material contact even after, but the valleys will form voids and these valleys will fill with air. As a result, an interface will contain numerous air gaps of varying size that act as insulation because of low thermal conductivity of air. Thus, an interface offers some resistance to heat transfer, and this resistance per unit interface area is called thermal contact resistance, RC. The value of RC is determined experimentally using a setup like this. You will apply load. Here you had pencil heaters to transfer heat from the one side. This is your upper specimen, this is lower specimen. Thermocouples are attached here. This is your interface which will offer the thermoconduct resistance. This is your lower heat flux meter. This is the cold plate. So this will measure the amount of heat flux which is coming from upper side. These two specimens are pressed with the help of this load. So the heat transfer through two metal rods of cross-section area A that are pressed against each other can be expressed as the heat transfer through the interface of those two rods is due to the non-contact areas which contains air and due to the solid contact spots at this interface. Means heat transfer can be divided into for the contact which is in contact with each other and gap which contains the air. This heat transfer also can be expressed by Newton's law of cooling, which is SC delta interface. Now here delta interface is this temperature drop across the interface. Area is the same as the cross section area of this specimen. The quantity Hc corresponds to convection heat transfer coefficient and is called thermal conductance. So Hc is represented by thermal conductance, which is Q dot by A divided by delta interface. This you can measure with the help of this heat flux meter, with the help of this device. Now reverse of this thermal conductance, which is RC, is called thermal contact resistance. RC represents the thermal contact resistance per unit area. The thermal resistance for the entire interface is obtained by dividing RC by the apparent interface area A. Now this value can be easily calculated if you know the interface temperature difference, which we can calculate with the help of thermocouples, and if you know your heat flux. The value of thermal contact resistance depends on the surface roughness and the material properties as well as the temperature and pressure at the interface and the type of fluid trapped at the interface. In the most cases it can be air or it can be a different fluid. The situation becomes more complex when plates are fastened by bolts, screws or rivets, since the interface pressure in this case is non-uniform. The thermal contact resistance in that case also depends on the plate thickness, the bolt radius and the size of contact zone. So thermal contact resistance is observed to decrease with the decreasing surface roughness and increasing interface pressure. If this roughness is less, thermal contact resistance is less, and if they are applied with more pressure, so which will lead to the decrease in thermal contact resistance between two surfaces. So when we have to analyze heat transfer in a medium consisting of two or more layers, the first thing we need to know is whether the thermoconductor resistance is significant or not. We can answer this question by comparing the magnitude of thermal resistance of layers with typical values of thermoconductor resistance. For example, the thermal resistance of 1 cm thick layer of an insulating material per unit surface area is 0.25 meter square degree Celsius per watt, and for copper it is 0.000026 meter square degree Celsius per watt. So comparing the value above with typical values of thermoconductor resistance, we conclude that the thermoconductor resistance is significant and can even dominate the heat transfer for good heat conductors such as metals, but can be disregarded for poor heat conductors such as insulators, because most of insulators contain air, just like the interface itself. Thermal contact resistance can be minimized by applying a thermally conductive liquid called thermal grease such as silicone oil on the surface before they are pressed against each other. Or you can replace the air which is having this amount of conductance with a higher conducting gas such as hydrogen, helium, or you can replace with the glycerine. Thermal contact resistance can be minimized by inserting a soft metallic foil such as tin, silver, copper, nickel or aluminium between two surfaces. Experiment results shows that thermal contact resistance can be reduced by a factor of up to 7 by a metallic foil at the interface. So this graph shows the thermal contact resistance for stainless steel. This is uncoated, this is coated. For nickel, this is uncoated, this is coated. And for the bronze, this is coated, this is uncoated. You can see the thermal conductance has increased while thermal contact resistance has decreased. So experimental results are given for conductance between similar and dissimilar metal surface for use in preliminary design calculations. Note that the thermal conductance is highest for soft metals with smooth surface at high pressure. This table shows thermal conductance of some metal surface in air. So these are the metals here. This is your surface condition, surface roughness, then temperature, then pressure of the contact surface. You can see this is your thermal contact resistance, and at this interface it is equivalent to aluminium layer of 2.50 cm between two plates. So these two are equivalent. So note that the interface between two plates offer as much as resistance to heat transfer as a 2.3 cm thick aluminium plate. Generalized thermal resistance networks. The thermal resistance concept or the electrical analogy can be also used to solve steady heat transfer problems that involve parallel layers or combined series parallel arrangement. Although such problems are often 2 or even 3-dimensional, but approximate solution can be obtained by assuming one-dimensional heat transfer. It means we insulate this upper side and lower side so that heat is only in the one-dimensional. So consider this composite wall which consists of two parallel layers. The thermal resistance network which consists of two parallel resistance can be represented as shown in figure. So these two layers are in parallel. So you can replace this layer with the resistance which are in parallel. So this is your first layer which is in parallel to the second layer. So you can treat in the same way that two resistors in parallel. Now for parallel case resistance, this is your total resistance. You can solve from here. That is total resistance is equal to product of R1 and R2 divided by R1 plus R2. So heat transfer from these two layers is divided into two parts. That is heat transfer through first layer, that is Q1, and heat transfer through the second layer, that is Q2. So you can write in this way that T1 minus T2 by R1 is equal to plus T1 minus T2 by R2, which is equal to this is your total heat transfer. Now here this value is R total. So in this case this is your heat transfer. The same you can express for this arrangement where two layers are parallel and then they are in series with the third layer, which is again series with the convective heat transfer at this interface. So for this layer you can write Q1 heat transfer with resistance R1. For second layer you can write Q2 with resistance R2. This is third layer, and for third layer your heat transfer will be the sum of first and second layer, means Q1 plus Q2, which is Q with R3. Now in this case your total resistance is equal to the sum of this resistance and this resistance by assuming this in parallel, which is this in this case, and then this resistance plus this resistance R3 plus convective resistance, which is equal to the total resistance. Put the value here, you will get heat transfer. The result obtained will be somewhat approximate, since the surface of third layer will probably not be isothermal.